I traveled back to the 80s, only to find my husband had racked up a huge debt by selling diseased pigs. When his customers found out, he faked paralysis. My mother-in-law and his mistress hid all the money, leaving me alone to shoulder the debt. I had just managed to cure his paralysis with scalding hot porridge and traditional medicine, but then, during a heavy rainstorm, he fell off a cliff to his death. I brought a torn piece of my husband's clothing to my mother-in-law, who was hospitalized after a fall. She thought I had the villagers carry her son's body back. With a grave expression, I said, we couldn't bring him up. I was afraid the wild animals would get to Honkai, so we buried him right there and placed 2 stones on top. My name is Zhong Jimin. A month ago, I was in a car accident and woke up in the body of a village woman named Zhong Chiafeng. At that moment, her paralyzed husband, Wang Honkai, had just been carried back from the town hospital. Her mother-in-law, Huang Ying, sat on the edge of the heated brick bed, wailing and lamenting, my poor son, he's buried in debt, and now he's bedridden. How are we supposed to go on living like this? Chiafeng, you've been part of our family for so many years, you know very well how Honkai has treated you. Now that he's in debt, you have to help him pay it off. But I have the omniscient perspective. Wang Honkai was never paralyzed. He's been faking it the whole time. Wang Hongsai's mother was still wailing. Our Wang family has suffered enough misfortune already. You can't just abandon Honkai. Abandon him. Of course I'm going to get involved. Not only will I get involved, I'll make them pay for it. It's the 1980s. Just a month ago, Wang Honkai had a suspicious accidental fall that left him a quadriplegic, paralyzed from the neck down. Before the original owner, Zhong Chiafeng, could even properly grieve, people from the city showed up at her door. Only then did she learn that Wang Honkai had sold pigs infected with swine fever to customers. Upon discovering this, the customers demanded that the pig farm either refund their deposits, pay compensation, or deliver healthy pigs as replacements. But Wang Honkai was paralyzed, and the money to save him had drained the family's finances, leaving them utterly unable to repay. Huang Ying urged Zhong Chiafeng, Chiafeng, Honkai is paralyzed because of you and your child. You can't just abandon him. Go back and beg your father for help, to deal with those debt collectors for now. The original host wiped her tears and obediently returned to her parents' home. Zhong Chiafeng's father was the village chief. When his daughter came to him for help, he scraped together what he could and managed to pay off part of the debt. But the village chief's family wasn't a money tree either. The original owner of this body had no choice but to toil in the fields, raise pigs to pay off debts, and care for the paralyzed Wang Honkai. All at the same time. She hardly ever got a decent night's sleep. To make matters worse, her mother-in-law, Huang Ying, constantly made things difficult for her with endless schemes. Her son, Wang Tianxi, spoiled rotten by Huang Ying, had grown into a thoroughly unruly child. 5 years later, Zhong Chiafeng had finally paid off her debts and managed to get her child into middle school, only to die of exhaustion at the pig farm. It was only after Zhong Xiaofeng came to her door and brazenly flaunted her victory that Zhong Chiafeng learned the truth. Just before her death, her husband had the money to pay off the debts all along. Knowing the pigs were sick, he had diverted the final payment from a client in advance and given it to his mistress, Zhong Xiaofeng, an educated youth sent to the countryside. What cut even deeper was the revelation that her son, Wang Tianxi, was actually the child of Zhong Xiaofeng and Wang Honkai. The moment Zhong Chiafeng died, the two of them gleefully went to get their marriage license. They took the college entrance exam, made it from the countryside to the city, and began living an enviable urban life. Zhong Chiafeng, however, died with a grievance, her spirit lingering, unwilling to depart. By some unseen force, her obsession summoned me, who had died in a car accident, to avenge her. I knew the truth, but I didn't expose it right away, since Wang Honkai was pretending to be paralyzed. I decided to play along with his game. I carried a bowl of steaming hot rice porridge to his lips. Just as he was about to open his mouth, I suddenly let go. The scalding rice porridge splashed onto his face. He let out a sharp cry and bolted upright. I feigned panic, exclaiming, "Oh!" My hand just slipped. Clutching his face, he cried out in agony, It hurts so much." I blinked my eyes. "Honkai, how did your paralysis get better all of a sudden?" Only then did he snap back to reality. Hurriedly lying back down on the bed and groaning, the pain was just too much earlier. It was what do you call it, a reflex. Being an uneducated farm woman, I naturally believed him and asked with concern, "Does it still hurt?" He flushed red with anger, from his face down to his neck. "Are you trying to be the death of me?" I quickly apologized. "I'm so sorry, I'll be more careful with the temperature next time." But the next time, I accidentally spilled the freshly brewed herbal medicine on him. Then, I went and placed the boiling hot kettle right by the bedside. He was scalded so badly his whole body trembled, but afraid of giving himself away, he didn't dare to jump up. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter at the sight of his sorry state, after the porridge feeding incident. I made the excuse that I was too busy with farm work and the pig farm to have time to look after Wang Hongkai. I couldn't keep my big mouth shut and blabbed about his conditioned reflex of jumping up. Some villagers then came by to see if Wang Hongkai had recovered, fearing his ruse would be discovered. Wang Hongkai committed fully to the charade of paralysis, and so, he soiled himself, just as any bedridden patient would. This went on until his buttocks, soaked in filth, became red and raw, and he developed a fever. Only then did I leisurely fetch the medicinal solution to clean him. I wiped my tears as I cried, "Hongkai, please get better soon, I can't hold on much longer. The debt collectors come every single day, they've already taken all the furniture from the house, and I still have to take care of you, Mom, and Tianxi." Tianxi got expelled by his teacher, now he's hanging out with a bunch of troublemakers all day. I'm terrified he's going to do something really stupid. Hongkai, please, get better and help me. Wang Hongkai lay with his eyes tightly shut. Completely still, the debt collectors were back. My mother-in-law, Huang Ying, was feigning illness again, and she turned her blame on me. "My life is so bitter," she wailed, "my son is paralyzed, and my daughter-in-law is useless, heavens above. Open your eyes and see my suffering." I watched her performance in silence, seeing that I didn't react. Huang Ying shot me a glare, clutched her stomach, and began to wail, "Oh, my stomach hurts so badly, I think I'm dying." Playing along, I put on a panicked expression and asked, "Mom, what's wrong?" She groaned, "I told you last time, it's an old problem, it'll be fine as long as I can get a proper meal. But I spent all my burial savings on Hongcai's medical bills, how can I afford rice now?" Huang Ying secretly pinched herself, squeezing out 2 lines of tears. "Xiaofeng, we're family, you can't just stand by and watch us be driven to our deaths. Go beg your father, the village chief, to help us." A cold smirk flickered in my eyes. I knew it, my chance had come. I deliberately put on a troubled expression. "Mom, it's not that I don't want to help, it's just that I've already begged Dad so many times. How could I possibly have the nerve to go ask him again?" Huang Ying's face instantly darkened. "Then this time, you go beg him in tears, go beg him on your knees, don't stop until he agrees." I sighed. "Alright, I'll give it a try, but I might be gone for a while, you'll have to look after Hongkai for me." Huang Ying was overjoyed and agreed immediately. Yes, of course, don't worry, just go." She made a gesture to Wang Hongkai, who was in bed. He immediately sat up, not looking like a paralyzed patient at all. They probably figured that since I was going to pester the village chief for a long time, they could drop the act. Wang Hongkai is a real womanizer. After being laid up for so long without a woman, he must be absolutely desperate. Sure enough, the moment I left, they called Xing Xiaofan over. Having not seen his mistress for so long, Wang Hongkai grabbed Xing Xiaofan and started kissing her hungrily. Huang Ying hurried out the door, exclaiming, "Good heavens! What are you two doing in broad daylight?" "Mom, once Zhong Qiafeng brings the money back, we'll give you a grandson." Over there, I made my way to the village chief's house, crying the whole way. I was crying my eyes out, which drew a crowd of villagers who gathered around to ask what was wrong. What's the matter with the village chief's daughter? Is that Zhong Qiafeng? Is her in-laws family giving her a hard time again? How awful for her. By the time I reached the village chief's house, I was crying even more bitterly. I said to the village chief through my tears, "Father, I know I really shouldn't be troubling you with this again, but we're on the brink of starvation. Please, lend us a little more money to pay off our debts." The village chief frowned. "Qiafeng, it's not that I don't want to help you, but your family's debts are simply too great. I've helped you out so many times before. It should be enough by now." As he spoke, he began to close the door. I quickly stopped him. "This is the last time, I promise. Things are really bad at home. My mother-in-law is sick and needs treatment. All our furniture has been repossessed, and the rice jar is empty. If you don't believe me, you can go ask the Wang family." The village chief hesitated. After all, I am his daughter. It wouldn't be right for him to just stand by and do nothing. All right. He agreed to my request. The other villagers wanted to see the commotion too, and so, a whole crowd of people made their way to the Wang family's house. "Qiafeng, what's going on at your place?" I sobbed in reply. "My mother is sick. I'm begging my father to lend us a little more." The villagers were filled with righteous indignation. The Wang family has gone too far. Are they treating the village chief's house like their personal piggy bank? The village chief has already helped them pay off their debts twice. Is he supposed to do it again? I think the Wang family is doing this on purpose. Once the village chief helps them pay off their debts, they'll be rich. Just as I reached the door, I heard strange noises coming from inside the house. At that moment, Wang Hongkai and Xing Xiaofan were being all lovey-dovey with each other. Huang Ying stayed outside shelling peas, keeping a lookout for them. Seeing us arrive, Huang Ying stood up in a panic. "What are you all doing here?" I said through tears. "Mom, you told me to go ask Dad for money, and I did." He didn't believe we were truly destitute. I had no choice but to bring them here to see for themselves. Huang Ying desperately tried to block the way. "You can't go in." The village chief frowned. "Why won't you let us in?" I cried even louder. "Mom, let everyone see for themselves. We weren't lying to them." "Mom, let me in." The others chimed in. "Exactly. Why are you stopping us from going in?" "Yeah, just let us take a quick look." Huang Ying was sweating bullets with anxiety. Inside, Xing Xiaofan and Wang Hongkai heard the commotion and scrambled to get dressed, but it was already too late. I shut the door open and burst in. The village chief and the others caught a glimpse of Xing Xiaofan's clothing. "Huh, who's that?" Xing Xiaofan and Wang Hongkai were both disheveled, a clear sign they had just been intimate. "Ah!" I let out a shriek, lunging forward to grab Xing Xiaofan by the hair and yank her off the bed. "What are you doing in my husband's bed?" Xing Xiaofan screamed in pain. "Help, she's trying to kill me." Wang Hongkai panicked. "Zhong Qiafeng, what are you doing? Let go of Xiaofan, now." I turned to Wang Hongkai, my face a mask of shock as I grabbed him. "Weren't you paralyzed? How can you move?" Wang Hongkai was at a loss for words. Mother-in-law Huang Ying burst in and shouted angrily, "Zhong Qiafeng, you good for nothing. What are you doing back at a time like this?" The villagers erupted in an uproar. They had long been puzzled by Wang Hongkai's sudden paralysis, and now it all suddenly made sense. "Oh, for heaven's sake, Wang Hongkai was faking paralysis to scam us. No wonder Huang Ying was always pleading poverty. They were in on the scam together. I can't believe it. Wang Hongkai turned out to be that kind of person." The village chief roared in fury. "Well, Wang Hongkai, not only did you deceive Qiafeng, you've deceived me too. And you're carrying on an illicit affair." He ordered the villagers, "Seize them both." "No, please, chief, we're innocent." Xing Xiaofan hid behind Wang Hongkai, trembling with fear. The village chief sneered. "Innocent? You were in each other's arms. How is that innocent?" The villagers swarmed forward and seized the pair. The villagers marched Wang Hongkai and Xing Xiaofan to the central threshing ground. In an instant, everyone in the village knew the truth. Wang Hongkai was never paralyzed. It was all an act. The village chief exposed Wang Hongkai and Xing Xiaofan's scandal at the assembly, utterly ruining their reputations. As for me, I pretended to be completely in the dark, crying until my eyes were red. Wang Hongkai and Xing Xiaofan were scorned by everyone, and mother-in-law Huang Ying was drowned in the villagers' contempt. Huang Ying stumbled and crawled over to her son, throwing herself on him and wailing, "My son, you've suffered so much." Seeing his mother's newfound resolve, Wang Hongkai cried out, "Mom, save me." Huang Ying released her son and knelt on the ground, kowtowing to the village chief. "Chief, please spare my son. He just made a foolish mistake in a moment of weakness." The village chief said coldly, "A moment of weakness? His moment of weakness could ruin the reputation of our entire village." The villagers were also outraged. "Chief, he must be punished severely, otherwise, what family from another village would ever dare to marry their daughter into ours?" The village chief took a few puffs of his cigarette and said slowly, "According to village rules, such hooligan behavior must be punished by a public parade." "No, please, village chief, I beg you," Huang Ying cried, her voice hoarse with desperation. Xing Xiaofan fainted from fright. Wang Hongkai was so terrified he wet his pants. I watched it all unfold with cold detachment, secretly delighted. Serves him right. After being thoroughly criticized by the villagers from top to bottom, Wang Hongkai had no choice but to return to the pig farm. He had previously run off with the farm's final payment. Seeing how shameless Wang Hongkai was, everyone at the farm left, so Wang Hongkai was the only one doing any work at the entire pig farm. I was the one doing it before, but after being betrayed and deceived by my husband, I refused to come back. No one would have said anything about it. When the clients found out Wang Hongkai had recovered, they sent people straight to his door and gave him a severe beating. "Ugh, you were faking paralysis all along. You cost us so much money. Feed him some pig shit, that'll sober him up." "Wah, I won't eat it." Wang Hongkai was force-fed a few mouthfuls of pig excrement and began retching uncontrollably. He was then seized again and thrown back into the pigsty, where two pigs snuffled over and promptly took a dump right in front of him. Wang Hongkai struggled to crawl out, painfully washing off the pig filth. He didn't want to live a life of constant fear and anxiety. His eyes darted around. If faking an illness wouldn't work, what about faking his death? If he faked his own death, all his debts would simply vanish. He had stashed all his money with Xing Xiaofan when the time came. He planned to run away with his mother and Xing Xiaofan to seek their fortune out in the world, so Wang Hongkai made a plan with Huang Ying, Xing Xiaofan, and the others to deliver pigs to the city. Later, on the way back, they accidentally encountered a torrential downpour, skidded off the road, and plunged down the cliff beside the village. In the pouring rain, Huang Ying, who had gone to the city with Wang Hongkai, helped him use pig's blood to fake the scene of a fatal accident. Their plan was for Huang Ying to run weeping into the village, so the villagers would help carry Wang Hongcai's corpse back. Collectively witnessing his death, soaked to the skin, Huang Ying staggered into the village, her wails alerting the villagers. "Help, someone, please save my son has fallen off the cliff." The villagers were all roused and came out into the rain to see what had happened. Some held umbrellas, others wore straw rain capes. They were utterly shocked to see Huang Ying, covered in mud and in a wretched state. "Hongcai's mother, what on earth happened to you? Where's Hongcai? Wasn't he supposed to make the delivery? What happened to you? Oh my God, has something happened to Hongcai, my son?" Huang Ying wailed, slapping her thigh. He had arranged to deliver the pigs, but then this heavy rain came. The road was so slippery, and as he was walking, he fell over the cliff. "Oh my God," the crowd exclaimed. "How could this happen? Quick, go help them." The villagers were kind-hearted by nature, although they had been displeased with Wang Hongcai's previous act of faking paralysis to scam money. Upon hearing of his actual death, they chose not to dwell on the past. I knew Huang Ying and the others were definitely up to their old tricks again, so I followed the villagers to see what all the commotion was about. Everyone carried flashlights, slipping and sliding our way to the edge of the cliff. At the cliff's edge sat a small three-wheeled vehicle, smashed to pieces. Its cargo bed was filled with mud and pig's blood. The village chief, along with several young men, followed Huang Ying down the narrow path to the base of the cliff. The cliff was high, and a river flowed directly below. Braving the rain, the group searched with difficulty at the foot of the cliff. Soon, someone cried out in alarm, "Come quick, there's blood here." The group approached and saw blood spattered all over the ground. My heart sank. Huang Ying wailed, "My child, oh, my child." Following the trail of blood, the crowd arrived at a patch of thick grass. There, a person lay. He was covered in blood, his face pale and ashen, with no breath left in him. "Ah!" Huang Ying threw herself forward, wailing in anguish, "My son, you died so tragically. How could you be so cruel, leaving your mother all alone?" The sight of Wang Hongcai's body moved everyone, and they offered words of comfort to Huang Ying. "Hongcai's mother," they said, "you must take care of yourself in your grief. Yes, what's gone is gone. There's no bringing him back. Let's carry him home quickly and give him a proper funeral." There was far too much blood on the ground. No single person could bleed this much. My guess is, Wang Hongcai is definitely faking his death. In the torrential downpour, the villagers hastily checked Wang Hongcai's breathing and, assuming he was dead, prepared to carry his body back to the village for burial. As I watched the rain grow heavier, a plan suddenly formed in my mind. Premium content. I reached the high ground near the cliff and pushed a few rocks down toward the villagers. Then I rushed over to the villagers in a panic, saying, "It's bad, the rain is too heavy, the soil on the cliff is loose, there might be a landslide or a mudslide." As I spoke, I put on a terrified expression. Upon hearing my words, the villagers went to check and indeed found the earth loose, with even the small path down the mountain partially collapsed. Panic instantly spread through the group. What do we do? If the road collapses, how will we get back? We need to get out of here now, or we'll all be buried alive. The path was so narrow that everyone had to walk in single file, and so, Wang Hongcai's corpse, which was at the very back, was mercilessly left behind. Huang Ying was frantic. Terrified that her son would be buried by the landslide, she threw a fit at the villagers, demanding they bring her son up too. "You can't leave, my son is still down there, take him with you." The villagers were furious and gave Huang Ying a piece of their mind. "Are you out of your mind? Your son is already dead. Do you want the rest of us to be buried with him?" With that, the villager pushed Huang Ying aside and continued up the path. "But what about Hongcai's body?" Huang Ying pressed on relentlessly. I feigned urgency and said, "Given the circumstances, we have no choice but to leave Hongcai's body here for now. We'll come back to deal with it once the rain stops. Everyone, get back now. Don't linger here any longer." The villagers saw the sense in my words and immediately started running up the path. I ran along with them, feeling a secret thrill of satisfaction. It looked like Wang Hongkai and Huang Ying's scheme was about to fail. What do we do? What do we do? Huang Ying thought in a panic. A sudden thought struck her. Maybe this was an opportunity. If her son climbed up after everyone left, and then this place was buried in a mudslide, they wouldn't even need to forge a death certificate. At this thought, Huang Ying's eyes lit up. So, Huang Ying took advantage of everyone moving forward to tell her son to climb up and escape after the group returned to the village. Mom, I'm scared. Wang Hongkai trembled, clearly terrified by the news of a potential mudslide. Don't be afraid, son, I've checked. This place won't collapse anytime soon. After Huang Ying left, I emerged from the shadows and sneered at the spot where Wang Hongkai was hiding. I took my time, walking at the very back. The rain poured down, loosening the earth at the cliff's edge. I walked to the edge, steadying myself against a tree as I kicked stones down, one by one, and then, finally, thump, thump, accompanied by the thunder, the earth at the cliff's edge completely collapsed, blocking the path ahead of Wang Hongkai. My heart leapt with joy. Let's see how you get up here now. Wang Hongkai, paywall. On the way back, Huang Ying kept muttering about how selfish the villagers were. They had tried to help in good faith, only to be cursed at. And now they were all saying they wouldn't go to carry Wang Hongcai's body down the cliff tomorrow. This suited Huang Ying just fine, however, so she cursed even more fiercely, hoping to ensure that not a single villager would go down to the cliff the next day. As she was ranting, Huang Ying's foot slipped. She landed hard on her backside and broke her leg. The villagers, grumbling and cursing all the while, carried her off to the clinic. The rain stopped the next day, and the medic came on duty. The medic informed me that Huang Ying had a fracture and required hospitalization, but I couldn't afford the medical expenses. A bone injury takes 100 days to heal. For that, this price really isn't expensive. Tears welled up in my eyes uncontrollably, but my husband just passed away, leaving behind a mountain of debt. I truly don't have the money for the fees. Doctor, could you possibly discharge my mother-in-law? I'd like to take her home for palliative care. Huang Ying would hear none of it. She was still dreaming of moving to the city with her son and wanted to recover quickly so she could leave, so she said, I have a little money left. My private savings from all these years. It's in the cabinet in my room. But didn't you say you'd spent even your burial money to pay off the debts? I exclaimed on purpose. Huang Ying, feeling embarrassed, quickly told me to go back and get the money. Under the sympathetic gazes of the doctors and patients, I went back, feeling utterly wronged. In fact, the secret savings Huang Ying mentioned were precisely the funds Wang Hongkai had embezzled from the pig farm. He managed to get most of it back from Xing Xiaofan and gave it to his mother to hold on to. While I was back in the village to collect the money, I pleaded with the villagers once more. With a sorrowful expression, I said, my mother-in-law doesn't know what's good for her. I apologize to you all on her behalf. With that, I bowed deeply, but Hongkai is still at the foot of the cliff. The rain has stopped now, and the path is a bit easier. If you don't want to carry him up, could you at least bury him where he lies? I don't want to leave him exposed to the wilderness. The villagers took pity on me and agreed, so, a few of the young men put in some effort, cleared the path that had been blocked by the fallen rocks, and made their way back down the cliff. At that moment, Wang Hongkai heard the voices of the villagers. He quickly lay down in the abandoned spot, pretending to be dead. He had intended to climb up, but the path was blocked by rocks and mud that had suddenly fallen the day before. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get up and was drenched by the rain all night. He was freezing and cursing his luck when the villagers came down. The villagers saw the man on the ground, his face pale and his body cold to the touch. So they dug a pit and buried Wang Hongkai right there on the spot. Wang Hongkai dared not resist, holding his breath and biding his time. He planned to dig himself out once they had left. However, I spoke up then, saying, there are wild beasts in these mountains. I'm afraid Hongkai might be dug up and eaten. Perhaps we should bury him more securely. So, the villagers packed down the earth and hauled 2 large stones to place atop Wang Hongcai's grave. Wang Hongkai was terrified. He wanted to cry out for help and stop pretending to be dead, but just as the sound escaped his lips, I began to wail, Wah, husband, you died so tragically. Don't worry. I promise I'll take good care of our son and live a good life. My voice drowned out Wang Hongcai's. The villagers, seeing how bitterly I was crying, felt awkward themselves. To give me some time alone, they gradually dispersed. Listening to the villagers fade into the distance, Wang Hongkai felt his own life was about to end. With one final effort, he cried out, help. I wailed even louder, plopping myself right onto the grave mound and using the full weight of my body to pin down Wang Hongkai. Wang Hongkai groaned in agony. In the end, he suffocated to death. consumed by terror and darkness. I arrived at the hospital with a piece of Wang Hongcai's clothing and some money. Huang Ying had woken up, seeing the cloth. She sat bolt upright in fright. Has my son's body been taken back to the village? No. I looked her straight in the eye. Mom, I was worried wild animals would get to Hongcai's body, so I asked the villagers to bury him right there. We even placed 2 heavy stones on top. What? Huang Ying was both shocked and furious. How dare you? How dare you make the decision to bury my son? With that, she immediately got out of bed to go see her son. I have to go see him. Hongcai was just buried. If we dig him up now, there should still be time. I called for the doctor and stopped Huang Ying. Mom, please don't rush. If you really want to go, doctor, could you please check her over first? If she's okay, I'll take her to the village. Mom, don't worry. Even though Wang Hongcai is buried beneath the cliff, it's still within the village. It's not far to pay your respects. Shut up, my son is not dead. Huang Ying cried out emotionally. You buried the wrong person. You've made a mistake. Mom, I know you're grieving, but you can't just say things like that. My son is alive. I have to save him. I have to go and save him. The surrounding doctors and patients were utterly shocked, all turning to listen to the gossip. No way, they actually buried someone alive. I heard it was near a cliff. They might have been in an accident and thought the person was dead. Oh my God, should we dig them up right away? It's too late to dig him out now. He's surely gone. Ignoring her broken leg, Huang Ying hobbled back towards the village. Some of the more gossipy villagers followed Huang Ying, running towards the village. Huang Ying rushed towards Wang Hongcai's freshly raised grave mound, pushed aside the stones with all her might, and began clawing at the earth with her bare hands. She wanted to dig her son out before he died. However, after digging until her hands were bloody, Huang Ying unearthed the already lifeless body of Wang Hongcai. Overwhelmed by the shock, Huang Ying let out a final cry and collapsed to the ground, falling unconscious. This incident was so serious that it even alarmed the village chief. He woke Huang Ying and got the full story from her. However, when some of the village lads found out, not wanting to bear the guilt of burying a man alive, they all claimed they had confirmed Wang Hongcai was dead before the burial. As the widow, I also came forward to testify, saying I was there at the time. The village chief didn't want the villagers to be burdened with a homicide case, so he simply declared that Huang Ying, having lost her son, had suffered a mental breakdown and mistakenly believed her son was still alive. I stepped forward to support Huang Ying, crying, Mom, I know it's hard for you to let Hongcai go, but the dead cannot return to life. You must take care of your health. Mom, Hongcai is gone, but we still have Tianxi. You still have me, your daughter-in-law. We will take care of you for the rest of your life. I stepped forward to support Huang Ying, a look of grief on my face, while inwardly, my heart was leaping with joy. Huang Ying violently shook off my hand and screamed, It's all your fault, you jinx. You killed my son. Why did you let them bury him? Huang Ying tried to accuse me of murder, but no one believed her. When the villagers dug up the grave, Wang Hongcai did not cry for help or struggle. Everyone in the village thought Huang Ying had gone mad and began to pity me. I cried even harder. Mom, I never wanted your son to die. Hongcai fell off the cliff by accident. Mom, you can't just slander me like this because you're upset. Some people sensed something was off, but they kept it to themselves. After all, it was Wang Hongcai who faked his death, and Huang Ying who personally confirmed her son had died, so the villagers went ahead with the burial. The villagers all urged me not to bother arguing with a madman. Huang Ying was trembling with rage, unable to utter a word. I smiled to myself. Huang Ying, when you helped your son drive Zhong Qiafeng to her death, did you ever imagine you'd end up like this? It must be agony. Having your own son die by your own negligence. This is your karma. Due to delayed treatment, Huang Ying's leg became necrotic and had to be amputated, leaving her crippled. She kept thinking, over and over, that even though her son was dead, she still had a grandson. That bitch Zhong Qiafeng would never guess that Wang Tianxi was the son of her own son and Xing Xiafen. As long as I still have a breath in me, as long as I'm alive, I can make sure Zhong Qiafeng raises Wang Tianxi. With this thought, Huang Ying's despairing heart began to stir with a flicker of hope, but just at that moment, the production team leader rushed over in a hurry and said, Auntie Huang, your Wang Tianxi got into a fight with the girl from the next village, Daniu. He hit her and broke her head. Her father is furious and says he's coming to settle the score with you. What? Huang Ying was incredulous. Wang Tianxi is such a good boy. How could he possibly get into a fight? Is that girl Danu making up stories to frame my Tianxi? The production team leader was extremely impatient. Isn't it normal for kids to roughhouse a bit? This time, the other family came to us. they say Tianxi threw the first punch. While they're not blameless, the main responsibility lies with our side. We've discussed it and decided to go apologize to Danu. You need to get over here quickly, before this whole thing blows up even more. Huang Ying exploded at the suggestion. You want my grandson to apologize to Danu? My grandson is so well behaved. How could he possibly hit anyone? On what grounds should my grandson apologize? The production team leader frowned. Stop talking nonsense. With no other choice, Huang Ying limped her way towards the production team. Huang Ying, dragging Zhong Qiafeng along, arrived at the scene to find Daniu's father pointing at her wounds, angrily demanding an explanation. My daughter has already said it was your Wan Tianxi who started it. He even threatened her with a knife. You're going to give me an answer today, or this isn't over. Faced with the other party's questioning, Wan Tianxi not only refused to apologize but also spat at them, made faces, and even started hurling insults. Wan Tianxi stuck his chin out, full of arrogance. So I hit you. What are you going to do about it? Go ahead, hit me if you dare, you. Big Niu's father turned livid with rage. He strode forward and hoisted Wan Tianxi up by the collar. You little brat, if I don't teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents today, my name isn't Zhang. Wan Tianxi struggled and flailed, kicking and punching at Big Niu's father. Let me go, let me go. A scornful smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Huang Ying had spoiled her grandson rotten, which was exactly what had fostered Wan Tianxi's utter lawlessness. Today was the perfect opportunity to finally give him some proper discipline. Wan Tianxi, apologize to her right now, I shouted. What are you shouting for? You scared my grandson. Huang Ying shot me a disapproving glare before turning to comfort Wan Tianxi. Don't be afraid, Grandma's here. No one's going to bully you. It's clearly that girl, Danju, who's no good, so young and already dressing in such a flashy, provocative way. She had it coming, with Huang Ying backing him up. Wan Tianxi grew even more brazen. My grandma says you're a worthless woman. My dad's had enough of you. When he gets back, he's divorcing you. Huang Ying was afraid of upsetting Wan Tianxi, so she hadn't yet told him that Wan Hongkai was dead. Narrowing my eyes, I snapped a branch right off a roadside tree and whipped it across Wan Tianxi's body. Shut your mouth, you little brat. How dare you hit my grandson? Huang Ying wanted to step in and stop it, but she was lame in one leg and couldn't move quickly. Wan Tianxi was beaten and wailed. You're not my mother. I don't want you. I want my real mother. Huang Ying hurriedly tried to cover Wan Tianxi's mouth, but everyone had already heard. Big Girl's father pulled Huang Ying aside. Let him finish. Wan Tianxi broke free from Huang Ying's grasp and wailed. My mother is Xing Xiafen. The crowd erupted in an uproar. The brigade leader took the group to the village assembly and confronted Xing Xiafen, demanding to know if the child was truly hers. Under the intimidating pressure from the village leaders, Xing Xiafen tearfully confessed that she had been forced by Wan Hongkai to bear the child in the first place. Bullshit. Huang Ying was furious, believing Xing Xiafen had slandered her son, and started arguing with her. Just then, Daniu's father suddenly spoke up, adding fuel to the fire. Wan Tianxi actually looks more like Lu Mozi from our village. Maybe he's Xing Xiafen's son with that man. Impossible. Xing Xiafen and Huang Ying exclaimed in unison. Lu Mozi was a notorious scoundrel and local thug who had even done time in the lockup. Everyone steered clear of him. You're lying, Xing Xiafen cried out, flustered and indignant. She turned to Huang Ying. Auntie, please believe me. I would never betray Hongkai. Huang Ying, of course, didn't believe her. She and Wan Hongkai had doted on Xing Xiafen so much. How could she possibly take a fancy to a lowlife like that? Having just learned I'd been raising another man's son, I wiped away my tears, voice trembling as I said, I always thought Tianxi didn't look like me, so it's true, he's not my son. Mom, how could your Wan family do this to me? Then where's my child? Xing Xiafen, Mom, give me back my child. All the babies in our village were delivered by Granny Lu. We can call the midwife to testify, a villager chimed in. I clung to this lifeline of hope. Yes, she must know where my child has gone. The village chief agreed and sent for Granny Lu, for good measure. They also went to the neighboring village and dragged pockmarked Lu over. Soon, the midwife arrived. She stammered out that she and Xing Xiafen had given birth on the same day. I gave birth to a daughter, but she was strangled by Huang Ying the moment she was born. Then they swapped in the son born to Xing Xiafen. And pockmarked Lu said that when Xing Xiafen first arrived, she had indeed been with him, just to get enough to eat. He never imagined he actually had a son. The truth came to light. Huang Ying was suspected of murder, so the village chief had her taken to the police station. Wan Tianxi, on the other hand, was reluctantly taken away by the local thugs. As for that troublemaker Xing Xiafen, The village chief also wrote a letter to his superiors to have her removed. It said she was sent to a harsher place for reform through labor. Huang Ying protested her innocence as the police led her away, hurling vicious curses at Xing Xiaofeng and me. Zhong Qiafeng, I hope you die a horrible death. You killed my son and now you've ruined me. You'll burn in hell for this. Xing Xiaofeng, you slut. You tricked my son and gave birth to that bastard child, my grandson. Oh, my grandson. Huang Ying and Xing Xiaofeng have both been punished. I stared in the direction where Huang Ying was being led away by the police, a cold smile curling at the corner of my mouth. Huang Ying, you took Zhong Qiafeng's life. Sending you to prison is letting you off easy. As for Wang Hongkai, he abandoned his wife and child. A selfish man like that deserved to suffocate to death. You pack of wolves and tigers, you all deserve to burn in hell. Huang Ying was sentenced to 20 years in prison. And she probably won't live long after she gets out. The Wang family is already shattered. As a married daughter, it's not really my place to go back to the village chief's house, so, the villagers held a vote. They decided to let me stay in the Wang house and also allocated a piece of the Wang family's land to me. As for the pig farm, it was collectively reclaimed and became the shared property of the villagers. After checking on the growth of the wheat, I busied myself in the fields a while longer. It wasn't until the sun was high in the sky that I headed back to make breakfast. I had just finished my meal when a knock came at the door. Comrade Zhong Qiafeng, are you home? Yes, who is it? I hurried to open the door. A postman was standing outside. Comrade Zhong Qiafeng, you have a letter. Thank you. I took the letter and looked at what was written on the envelope. It was a university acceptance letter. I got in. A smile touched the corners of my mouth. This was the reward for all my hard work. The day I got into university was the very day I had just finished dealing with Wang Hongkai and his mother. I never expected to receive the university acceptance letter so soon. My hands trembled as I carefully opened the envelope and pulled out the letter inside. Looking at that bright red seal, my eyes began to well up. My heart was pounding with excitement. I held that piece of paper, paced a full circle around the room, and then carefully slipped it back into the envelope. With my bags packed, I set off on the journey to school. Gazing at the scenery passing by the window, I felt an immense sense of joy throughout the trip. This was my second time attending university. The first was before I crossed over into this world, and this second time, I was doing it under the identity of Zhong Qiafeng. Thinking of the original owner of this body, my joy subsided somewhat. The original owner endured a lifetime of humiliation and suppression, finally breathing her last with deep resentment. I could feel her soul's longing and bitterness as she watched Wang Hongkai and Xing Xiaofeng leave for university. I hope the spirit of the original owner, watching from above, can see this moment and share in my happiness. Time flew by, the economy kept getting better, and I knew this was the best of times. Through my own hard work, I founded an agricultural products processing plant. Later, by expanding the scale of production, I became one of the rare households in the village with savings of 10,000, then even 100,000 yuan. From then on, I could finally live my life as Zhong Jimin. Story 2. In the third year Yan Yizhi missed our daughter's birthday. I finally agreed to the divorce. He mistook my agreement for surrender. If only you'd agreed sooner, he said. Xiao Song's treatment wouldn't have been delayed for so long because of you. Don't worry, he assured me. Feng Qing and I are just putting on an act. You will always be the only Mrs. Yan. Be good, he said. Wait at home with Rui for me to come back. I smiled and instructed my lawyer to prepare the agreement. He didn't know that my daughter and I had both decided to let him go. The frosting on the cake dripped and melted away, and the hopeful light in my daughter's eyes slowly faded. Mom, she asked me softly, Dad isn't coming home today either, is he? My mouth fell open, but no words came out. I just instinctively tightened my grip on my phone. The still-lit screen was frozen on the latest photo Feng Qing had posted in her social media feed. In the picture, a tall man had a little girl perched on his shoulders, her face lit up with an unrestrained, joyful grin. The caption read, "The little one refused to eat." And someone was getting desperate, had to hurry up and make good on that promise to her. Seeing the disappointment on my daughter's face, I forced the words out with difficulty. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Last night was one of those rare occasions when Yan Yizhi came home. I thought he had remembered our daughter's birthday, but instead, he handed me a divorce agreement. Sign it, I'll be home tomorrow to spend Rui's birthday with her. I stared at him in disbelief. Are you using this to threaten me? Yan Yizhi fell silent for a moment, turning his head away. Xiao Song's treatment can't be delayed any longer. Wan, I don't understand. It's just a divorce on paper. Why won't you agree? I've told you, no one can ever replace you and your daughter. Xiaosong's psychological issues stem from the absence of a father figure in her childhood. Once she recovers, this whole ordeal will be over. Fang Qing only came to me as a last resort. Why can't you be more understanding? I scoffed. With so many men around her, why does she specifically need to ask you, a married man, to play along in this charade? Or is she asking for your help with the ulterior motive of taking my place? Yan Yiji's face darkened completely. Must you always think the worst of people? I said with a blank expression. You know perfectly well she has feelings for you, don't you? He looked away uncomfortably. Xiaosong's treatment is the priority right now. Don't worry, once she's recovered, we'll get remarried. What if she never gets better? I shrieked, waving the agreement in my hand. Will Ruiruwei just never have a father? Song Wan, must you be so unreasonable? Yan Yiji stood up impatiently, as if he had lost all patience. Just sign it. I'll come back tomorrow to spend our daughter's birthday with her. I imagine you wouldn't want to disappoint our daughter, right? Call me once you've signed it. He looked down at me from his superior position. Then I'll come back to be with our daughter. I stared blankly at the agreement in my hands. And what if I don't sign? He gave a scornful smile and turned away without a second thought. Fine, let's play the waiting game. We'll see who outlasts who. This was already the third time he had missed his daughter's birthday. He was the one who promised to spend our daughter's birthday with her, yet in the end, he turned it into a bargaining chip to threaten me. Seeing the look of disappointment on my daughter's face, I couldn't hold back my tears. I'm sorry, sweetheart, I whispered to myself. Mommy messed up. If I agree to sign, will Ruiruwei finally get to have a happy birthday? If Mom, a small body threw itself into my arms, breaking through my awkwardness. A tender little hand gently wiped the tears from my cheek. Mom, it's not your fault, it's good, just the two of us. Mom, can we just not have Dad anymore? After Ruiruwei fell asleep, I contacted my lawyer and sent the signed agreement to Yan Yiji. True to his word, he came home as soon as he received the agreement, carrying a mango cake. He walked towards me with a smile. You sent this so late. You almost missed our precious daughter's birthday. Where's Ruiruwei? Go call her out for cake. I gave it a brief, indifferent glance. Don't bother. He frowned. What's with the attitude now? Go call her out. I went out of my way to buy this. I glanced at the wall clock and gave a wry smile. It's 11. She's been asleep for ages. Besides, Ruiruwei is allergic to mango. She can't eat it. Yan Yiji paused awkwardly where he stood. It's too late. This was the only cake the shop had left. But it's fine. We should have the ingredients at home. I can make one now. He walked toward the kitchen with a smile. I think Ruiruwei will be thrilled when she wakes up tomorrow. I watched his retreating figure in a daze, my thoughts drifting away. Before Fang Qing and her daughter came into the picture, Yan Yiji would personally bake a cake every year for my birthday or our daughter's. Others would joke about the big CEO stooping to cook, but he'd retort with conviction. What's wrong with making a cake for my beloved wife and child? You're just jealous, darling. I'll make you a birthday cake every year from now on. His eyes were as gentle as the moon in the sky, as if we were his entire world. Sadly, that promise shattered like a mirage the moment Fang Qing and her daughter entered the picture. His movements were as practiced as they used to be. He must have done this for Fang Qing and her daughter many times over the years. The oven chimed, and his phone rang at the same moment. The living room was quiet, and I could clearly hear a woman sobbing on the other end of the line. Yiji, Xiaosong has a fever. I don't know what to do. Yan Yiji yanked off his apron with such force that the strap snapped. Don't panic, I'm on my way. Noticing my gaze on him, he offered an explanation, as if to say, Xiaosong is sick. You know how it is, Fang Qing. She's just a woman. She always. I understand. I cut him off. You should go. But when I saw the ruined apron, I couldn't help but frown. Ruiruwei picked this out for me herself last week when we went shopping. I never thought it would get torn like this. He thought I was angry and said impatiently, the child is sick, and you're still caught up in petty jealousy. Can't you be a little more understanding? Don't always throw a tantrum like this. Look at yourself. Where's the considerate person you used to be? I didn't respond, my gaze shifting toward the kitchen. He paused, his tone softening a little. I was wrong today for not coming back in time to celebrate Ruiruwei's birthday. The cake is ready. I'll be back early tomorrow. The child is sick. I'm going over to check on them. You go ahead and sleep. Don't wait up for me. Before I could answer, he hastily grabbed his coat from the sofa and turned to leave. In the past, I would have cried and made a scene to stop him from leaving. The moment I signed that agreement, the weight I'd carried for 3 years seemed to lift from my shoulders all at once, and just like that, it was time to put an end to the absurdity of these past few years. The next day, Yan Yiji returned with Fang Qing and her daughter. Weariness was etched on his face, But the child in his arms was full of energy. Xiaosong just got out of the hospital after her fever broke, and Fangqing was up all night too. Let's take them for a hot meal. Fangqing nestled against him with a coquettish laugh. Sister Wan, I'm afraid Xiaosong and I will be imposing on you. Actually, I was planning to go home and cook, but Yiji wouldn't hear of me tiring myself out. I took a casual step back without a word. Little Song had already broken free and run inside, but Yan Yiji stood frowning in place, offering a rare explanation. We've all been up all night, so, seeing this, Fangqing tugged at his sleeve as if wronged. If sister doesn't want to see us, I should just take Little Song and go back. No need to upset everyone. I looked up at her and smiled mockingly. If you knew, why did you even come? Seeing her provocation had worked. The glint of triumph in Fangqing's eyes grew brighter, yet her tone was utterly pitiful. Forget it, Yiji, let's go. Don't put yourself in a difficult position because of me and Little Song. Just as his expression darkened and he was about to speak, he was interrupted by the sound of crying coming from the living room. I quickly turned and hurried into the living room. There, I saw both cakes that had been on the table now lying smashed on the floor. Xiaosong, furious and in tears, pointed at Rui and wailed, "My dad said he only makes cakes for me. There's no way he made this one for you. Take that back, take that back." Rui stood frozen in place, silently staring at the ruined cakes on the floor. The nanny beside them flusteredly explained, "The young miss just asked who made the cake. I said it was the master, but she didn't believe me." She grabbed the plate and threw it on the floor. Fangqing ran over and hugged Xiaosong, her face full of grievance. "Don't cry, sweetheart. Daddy promised you he'd only make cakes for you. So this cake definitely wasn't made by Daddy." Rui suddenly spoke up angrily. "You're the one who's lying. This cake was made by Daddy for me." She looked at Yan Yiji. "Daddy, tell her." Yan Yiji looked pained. "Xiaosong. It was Rui's birthday yesterday, so I made one for her." Xiaosong's shrill cry cut him off. Daddy, that's not the cake you made. It's not, is it?" Not to be outdone, Rui declared, "This is the cake Daddy made for me." You're lying. Little Song cried, his face flushed red and his body trembling. Fangqing looked at him imploringly. Yan Yiji, I reminded him coldly, "You need to remember. You are Rui's real father." Little Song suddenly broke free from Fangqing's embrace. She ran over and clung to Yan Yiji's leg, crying out, "Daddy," she sobbed, refusing to let go. "Daddy, you promised me, you wouldn't lie to me, right?" The man's body stiffened slightly as he bent to hold the child, his eyes filled with conflict. After a long moment, he finally picked up Little Song and straightened up. "Don't cry," he said softly, gently wiping the tears from the child in his arms. "Daddy didn't make that cake. Daddy promised Xiaosong he'd only ever make cakes for our Xiaosong." Xiaosong's tears turned to a smile, and she looked triumphantly at Rui. "I knew it, you're a little liar." I watched as the hopeful light in Rui's eyes slowly faded away. Her face was a mask of indifference as she watched her own father hold another girl in his arms, joining the others in turning their blades against her. My heart clenched violently, as if seized by a giant hand. The pain so sharp it nearly stole my breath. Why, yet, Rui was the precious daughter he coddled and cherished, the apple of his eye. I wanted to lunge forward and slap him, to demand if he'd lost his mind, but my left hand was suddenly seized, and following the force, I looked at my daughter who was holding it. Her face was frighteningly blank. "Mom, just let it go, it's okay." Then, she picked up the cake from the floor and tossed it into the trash without a second thought. "It's not like we wanted these anyway, just throw it away." While packing, she unexpectedly found a stack of sealed documents in the safe. I opened it in a daze, only to realize it was the background report on Fangqing that I had secretly investigated behind Yan Yiji's back during high school. Fangqing was a new transfer student in our second year of high school. She was vibrant, radiant, and carried herself with effortless grace, instantly capturing the attention of countless classmates, including Yan Yiji. Back then, I'd always tried to stop him from associating with Fangqing, but he just thought I was jealous. "I only went over a couple more problems with her, and you're already upset." He tapped my head affectionately, smiling with adoration. "What a little jealous thing you are." At that moment, I was too embarrassed to say a word, lowering my head in silent agreement. Yan Yiji didn't know that I never forget a face. And Fangqing's eyes were almost identical to those of the woman his father had an affair with. I couldn't rest easy, so I secretly had someone look into her background. On her birth certificate, in the space for the mother's name, that woman's name was glaringly written, and that person was the very one who drove Yan Yiji's mother to her death. Back then, he had just barely started to recover from the grief of losing his mother. I didn't want to upset him all over again. So I tacitly went along with ostracizing Fang Qing. This was how I severed the connection between them. Afterward, Yan Yizhi channeled all the pain from his mother's death into hatred, directing it squarely at his father and the mistress. All these years, his relentless work and obsessive drive to expand the company were fueled by a desire for revenge against them. Yet, as fate would have it, their paths crossed once more. Despite all the twists and turns, I gave a slight, wry smile at the document, while a strange, malicious sense of pleasure welled up in my heart. In the evening, Yan Yizhi called. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. Please tell Ruirui I'm sorry, and that I'll make her a delicious cake next time. Xiaosong's condition could take a turn for the worse at any moment. I'm sorry, but she can't be exposed to any more emotional stress from the outside world. I won't bring Fang Qing and the others around you anymore. So please, don't be angry about it. I gave a scornful smile and said nothing. That's just how he is. He always expects everyone around him to understand and appreciate his self-sacrificing efforts, yet it never occurred to me to question whether these actions were appropriate. Seeing that I remained silent, he couldn't help but add, Wan, I swear, there's really nothing between me and Fang Qing. I only helped her because I felt sorry for her. We were classmates. After all, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. All these years, you've been the only ones in my heart. Just then, my daughter finished packing her bags, pushed the door open, and called out to me, Mom, I'm ready to go. Yan Yizhi sensed something was off immediately. Go. Where are you going, Song-wan? Do you no longer feel the need to tell me anything when you take Ruirui out now? I said calmly, cutting through his simmering irritation. We agreed to take Ruirui on a trip for her birthday. The flights were booked 3 months ago. There was a pause on the other end of the line, as if he had just remembered. Then, his voice tinged with apology, he said, that was my oversight. I forgot all about it. When you come back, I'll pick you up at the airport, okay? He never mentioned the promise he'd made to his daughter about the birthday trip. Just as I pretended not to hear the sounds of a woman and child laughing and playing on the other end of the phone, I don't understand. Whose husband is he, really? And whose father? Seeing the stack of documents on the table, my thoughts began to wander. I was ready to let it end there. But what happened today is something no mother could ever tolerate. Might as well throw some more fuel on the fire between them before the divorce is final. I'm curious to see how he'll react when he finds out the person he's been helping all these years is the daughter of the one responsible for his mother's death. Fine, I answered the person on the other end of the line softly. For the first time in 3 years, I responded to his words with a calm heart. Then you really must keep your promise this time, perhaps out of guilt. Yan Yizhi has been sending me messages every day while he's been away. They either ask if she's having fun, or they say they miss their daughter. I had planned to take this chance to send my daughter to her grandmother's, so I could return to Z City alone to face them, but Ruirui wouldn't have it. Little as she was, she seemed to understand everything, staring at me with stubborn determination. Mommy, I just want to be with you. My heart melted completely. But, I thought you didn't want to see Dad again. She nodded, then shook her head. I can ignore him, but I don't want to leave you, Mom. I'll stay with you. Remembering that my daughter's school registration wasn't finalized, and seeing how determined she was, I finally took her back to Z City. On the day we returned, sure enough, I saw Yan Yizhi waiting for us at the airport exit. Honey, sweetheart, welcome home. He smiled warmly, opening his arms to our daughter, a small strawberry cake held in his right hand. In the past, our daughter would have happily run into his arms by now, but this time, my daughter just called out Daddy before hiding behind me and refusing to look at him. For a moment, the atmosphere turned a bit awkward. I took the cake from him and explained with a smile, she's feeling a bit airsick. As I took the cake, I whispered in his ear, she's still in a bit of a mood. It'll take a few more tries to win her over. Girls are always a bit more delicate, aren't they? Remembering how well-behaved Ruirui usually was, and how hard the last incident had hit her. The furrow in his brow softened. Ruirui, Daddy was wrong last time, he coaxed gently. Can you forgive me? Seeing that his daughter didn't respond, he looked at me with a plea for help. I picked up my daughter and asked softly, are you feeling airsick, sweetie? Let's go home for dinner. What would you like to eat? After a long pause, my daughter mumbled, scrambled eggs with tomatoes. Yan Yizhi's eyes lit up, and he quickly agreed, yes, of course. Carrying our luggage, he walked out, chattering away. Daddy will make you scrambled eggs with tomatoes when we get home. When you were little and had no appetite, this was the only dish you'd eat, the one your dad made. I walked ahead with a scornful smile. He didn't know that what our daughter really wanted was the sweet, sugary scrambled eggs with tomatoes she'd had when we took her to her grandmother's house this time. but I wasn't going to be the one to tell him. Only when he was consumed by guilt could he truly steer the situation in the right direction. As soon as I opened the door, I was greeted by a beautiful bouquet of tulips. Standing outside the door, Yaniji looked at me with a beaming smile. "Look, honey, see what I brought back for you. Do you like it?" Perhaps realizing his daughter was growing distant, and with me no longer finding fault, intentional or not, these days, he's been spending far more time at home than in the past 3 years. He comes straight home after work, and sometimes even brings a surprise gift, silhouetted against the sunset. His bright smile and that familiar bouquet of flowers instantly transported me back to high school. It was my birthday, and also the day our weekly tests finally ended. Having been scolded for my poor math score, I sat slumped on a park swing, utterly dejected. Suddenly, the light in front of me was blocked. Puzzled, I looked up to see Yaniji standing there. Breathless and drenched in sweat, in stark contrast to his crumpled clothes was the beautiful bouquet of tulips he held in his hands. Here, his face flushed crimson as he thrust the bouquet of flowers into my arms. "Songwon, happy birthday." These were the flowers I had once told him were my favorite. Back then, although Yaniji's family was wealthy, after his mother passed away, his father, influenced by his new wife, enforced a policy of raising him poor. "I only get $300 a month for food, not a penny more." The bouquet was fresh, with dewdrops still clinging to the petals. "Where did you get the money?" I wiped the tears from my face. This couldn't have been cheap. He scratched his head, avoiding the question, and pulled a piece of candy from his pocket to hand to me, just grinning at me like a fool. "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you." I only found out later that this was the travel money he had painstakingly saved up to visit his mother's grave. But on his way home, passing by the little park, he saw me crying my heart out. He couldn't bear it, so he gritted his teeth and went to buy this bouquet of flowers. "What's wrong? Why are you crying all of a sudden?" The voice snapped me out of my reverie, and I felt a cold wetness on my cheeks. Flustered, I wiped away my tears and accepted the bouquet with a smile. "I'm just so moved. It's been so long since I've seen such beautiful tulips." Looking down, the bouquet in my arms is larger and more lavish than the one from all those years ago. I should act happy, but my heart remains utterly still. The person giving the flowers is the same as back then, yet is no longer that same person. I was the first to turn away, intending to head back to the living room, when I was suddenly pulled into his embrace. "I'm sorry," came his muffled voice from above me. "You've been through so much these past few days, my love. Once Xiaosong recovers, all of this will be over. I only love you, Wanwan. I really, truly do." Hearing his vow-like words, I finally softened and leaned into him. In that familiar yet strange embrace, I let my tears fall freely. Don't believe it, just hold on a little longer. Songwon, you need to understand. He is no longer the Yaniji of the past. The one whose only wish was to see you happy and who was willing to give up everything. If I had known that bouquet of flowers would trap me for the first half of my life. No, it's not the flowers' fault. I clenched the tulip in my hand. Consider it a tribute to the past, our past, which is long dead. Fang Qing showed up at my door while I was baking a cake at home. Compared to my recent healthy glow, she had dark circles under her eyes and looked rather worn out. That was only to be expected. Lately, I put away my old sharp edges and nitpicking ways, and started playing the part of the dutiful wife and mother. Finally, I no longer had to come home to arguments. Instead, there were hot meals and a gentle wife waiting for me. Perhaps it had been too long since he'd felt this kind of familial warmth, so Yaniji shifted his focus back to his home. On several occasions, I saw the caller ID on his phone screen just before he silenced it. It read Fang Qing. I also overheard him in his study, impatiently dealing with the person on the other end of the line. "If you're not feeling well, go to the hospital. What's the point of calling me? It's a rare day off. Of course I'm going home to spend time with my daughter." Whatever was said on the other end of the line left him in silence. "I'll think about it later." But after dinner, when his daughter asked him to play a game of chess, he had completely forgotten all about it. The father and daughter had a wonderful time playing together all evening, and I noticed Yaniji's phone screen stayed lit up the entire night. But in the end, he still didn't leave the house. For a moment, it felt like Fang Qing and I had swapped roles. The one left waiting anxiously at home was no longer me. But then, it never should have been me in the first place. As the agreed-upon divorce date drew closer, I found myself, quite out of character, posting about my life on social media more and more frequently. The posts were either a photo of a man's back as he cooked in the kitchen wearing an apron, or heartwarming scenes of a father and daughter enjoying each other's company. On top of that, Yan Yiji had been spending significantly more time with our daughter lately, and his outings had decreased dramatically. This set off alarm bells in Fang Qing's mind, and today, she could no longer restrain herself from confronting him directly. "You certainly have the time and mood to bake a cake at home," she said, looking at me with a complicated expression, her tone laced with sarcasm. I smiled, unfazed, poured her a cup of tea, and then took a seat opposite her. She glanced down at the cup of tea but didn't touch it, instead lifting her gaze to meet mine. "Sungwon, can you give Yiji back to me?" I couldn't help but find it amusing. "Miss Fang, you seem to be mistaken. Yan Yiji is my husband, not yours. He was never yours to begin with, so how can you talk about giving him back?" Fang Qing leaned back, a mocking twist to her lips. "Must I spell it out and make this truly awkward? If it weren't for the child, he would never have come home. Sungwon, you're a grown adult. Don't you think it's childish to use a child in some petty competition for favor?" She turned slightly and took a document from her bag, placing it on the table. "I'm pregnant," she said. A faint smile on her lips as she looked down at me with a condescending air. "The child is Yiji's. I knew you wouldn't believe me. So after the pregnancy was stable, I specifically went and had an amniocentesis done." She was speaking with such passion that she didn't hear the door open behind her. I didn't open the file, I just looked up at her. "Does Yan Yiji know about this?" she scoffed. "What happens between us is none of your concern. Besides, do you really think Yiji still has feelings for you?" "You have a point," I nodded thoughtfully, rising to my feet. Then, I picked up the documents from the desk and waved them behind Fang Qing. "Tell me, in cases of marital infidelity, doesn't the at-fault party typically forfeit all marital assets?" A sudden realization dawned on Fang Qing, and she whirled around, her face etched with dread. There, in the foyer, stood Yan Yiji, motionless, his face ashen, not uttering a word, in his left hand. He clutched a bouquet of vividly fresh tulips. She saw Yan Yiji again 3 months after the divorce. He was standing right at the entrance of the new neighborhood my daughter and I had moved into, a scattering of cigarette butts at his feet. The security guard at the gate was watching him with a look of weary resignation. After not seeing him for months, he looked haggard and unkempt, with a heavy stubble and darker circles under his eyes. I took him to a cafe near the neighborhood. The atmosphere was heavy with silence. It was a long while before he finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "Can't you at least take me to see where you live now?" "No, I can't." I took a small sip of my coffee. "The new neighborhood is wonderful. My daughter and I are very comfortable here, and I'd prefer not to be disturbed." In a way, I have to thank Fang Qing for that whole scene she caused. It ended up getting me a much larger settlement than what was originally agreed upon. It's enough to ensure my daughter and I can live comfortably for the rest of our lives. A pained expression crossed Yan Yiji's face. "Wan, I never imagined things would turn out this way." That night, after our fight, I had too much to drink. I gave a nonchalant smile. "It's all in the past. No explanation is needed." "No," he insisted, looking at me stubbornly. "We have to clear this up. I love you so much. You're the only one in my heart." His determined face suddenly reminded me of the day we graduated from high school. Right after we received our diplomas, he stopped me, his face slightly flushed but his gaze unwavering. Wan, be with me. I promise I'll always treat you right." Years had passed, and seeing his face again, the memory and reality overlapped, leaving me momentarily lost in thought, misreading my distraction for a softening heart. His eyes lit up. Wan, give me another chance, please. I swear I'll never be like that again. I'll treat you and our daughter right. I won't do anything foolish ever again. I finally understand now. You and our daughter are the most important things in my life. Mom's Memorial Day is coming up. Let's go visit her together." "Okay, we do it every year, don't we?" Looking at his anxious face, I asked softly, "What about Fang Qing and the child she's carrying? And what about Xiaosong, whom you've always been so concerned about? Can you really let go of all this?" He paused, a flicker of hesitation crossing his face. "I'll send them abroad. They won't appear in front of our family again, I promise you. From now on, it will just be the 3 of us living together." The expected answer extinguished the last remaining trace of warmth in my heart. As a matter of fact, Fang Qing came to see me last week too, just like always. She walked up to me with her usual meticulous makeup and those little heels. However, her once full cheeks had grown thin, and the heavy layer of powder couldn't hide the profound weariness on her face. "You must be thrilled your little scheme worked," she said with a cold smirk. "But even so, Yiji still chose to divorce you. You should understand what that really means. So you got such a huge sum of money. Why are you still staying in this city?" I smiled. "I think where I choose to stay is my own business. I don't need to explain myself to anyone. Don't take your relationship troubles with Yan Yiji out on me. That seemed to hit a nerve, she shrieked, her voice rising to a shrill scream. What the hell are you talking about? We're doing just fine, we're perfectly fine. I didn't say a word, just quietly watched her contorted face. Fang Qing forced a calm demeanor. I don't think you know yet, Yiji has already taken me to pay respects at his mother's grave. She rested a hand on her belly, a soft smile touching her lips as if lost in a memory. He promised his mother that he would take good care of me and the baby, so, I cut in, a hint of impatience in my voice, breaking her reverie. I just wanted you to know that we're happy now. Just as she seemed about to say more, I stood up. Miss Fang, I said with a faint smile. My gaze cold and utterly devoid of emotion. I understand, you're happy together, and I wish you both the best. Well then, I'll be going. As I passed by her, she suddenly grabbed my hand. Song-wan, she finally shed her haughty demeanor, her voice now pleading and subdued. Since you're divorced, there's no future for you too. Why don't you just leave this city? You have money, wouldn't it be better for you and your daughter to go somewhere else? Somewhere you wouldn't have to see us. I sneered, shaking her hand off. I told you, where I go is my own business. Is there anything else? If not, I'll be on my way. Fang Qing finally broke down. He's coming to see you. You must be so pleased with yourself, she hissed through gritted teeth, her voice laced with venom. He's sending me and Xiaosong abroad so he can come back to you. Song-wan, you have everything. Why do you have to take Yan Yiji from me too? You've been like this since high school. Always looking down on everyone, but I've liked him since high school. Xiaosong is sick, she's really pitiful. Can't you just let Yiji be with us? I grabbed her face with my hand and looked her straight in the eyes. You say Xiaosong is pitiful, but what about my Ruirue? Isn't she pitiful too? Yan Yiji is her biological father, yet time and again, he has abandoned her for another man's daughter, for 3 whole years. She looked forward to celebrating her birthday with her dad, and not once did you fail to steal him away. Fang Qing's face turned pale, her lips trembling in silence. I released my grip, letting her slump back into the seat, and looked down at her from above. Thanks for the heads up about Yan Yiji coming. Consider this my thanks, Fang Qing. My advice to you is to take Xiaosong and leave, now. A strange, unsettling smile twisted my lips as I looked at her. It'll be too late to leave. Because, when it came to anything involving Yan Yiji's mother, he would turn into a rabid dog. I took a report from my bag and handed it to Yan Yiji. He looked puzzled. What's this? I gestured for him to open the report. I imagine, after all these years accompanying Xiaosong to therapy, you must have a pretty good understanding of child psychology by now. He opened the file with a hint of panic, his face growing paler with every line his eyes scanned. How could this be? Yan Yiji's lips trembled. Ruirue, how could Ruirue be sick? And whose fault is that? I sneered. You're the one who subjected my precious child to 3 years of emotional torment from her own father. As you wish, from now on, you can indulge Xiaosong's sick need for a father to your heart's content. Our Ruirue doesn't need a father anymore. Watching the man before me, pale and helpless, sent waves of grim satisfaction through me. For 3 long years. My daughter woke up each day full of hope, only to fall asleep each night shrouded in disappointment. Being the understanding child she was, she would not only tell herself it was okay, but she would also come to comfort me. Mom, you still have me. The thought of her tiny body enduring so much is absolutely heart-wrenching. How dare you push my daughter aside, time and again, for the sake of someone else's child? As you wish, Yenny. The child won't need you anymore, he panicked. The doctor must have made a mistake. It can't be true. It just can't be. Just a while ago, Ruirue was playing with me so happily, remember? At home, I was building blocks with her. I yanked the report back from his hand and wiped the tears from the corner of my eye. So what? The doctor said we should stop letting the child have any contact with her father. Please stay away from our world. He sat there in a daze, muttering impossible to himself. I let out a cold laugh. This was just the beginning. I sat back down. He looked up at me with a glimmer of hope. Wan, please forgive me. Forgive me. Let's take Ruirue to see a doctor together. We'll find a way to cure her, I promise. The man's eyes were bloodshot, tears still welling in their corners. I forgot to tell you, I said, leaning in to gently wipe the tear from the corner of his eye, then flashing him a malicious smile. I think you still remember An Zealand. Fang Qing is her biological daughter. You know, congratulations, you and the daughter of the person you hate most have brought a new generation into the world, or perhaps you're asking for my help with the intention of a cuckoo taking over the nest. However, not long after the wedding, Fang Qing suffered a miscarriage due to an accident. According to a friend, her treatment was extremely difficult. She suffered massive hemorrhaging, which resulted in the loss of her uterus, and she nearly died. The household was in complete chaos, and with no one able to look after Xiao Song, she was kept locked inside the house day and night. Eventually, unable to bear the boredom any longer, she sneaked out one day, only to be hit by a car at the very same spot. A large truck ran right over her, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. All their friends lamented how a perfectly good family had been torn apart by such a sudden and tragic misfortune, perhaps overwhelmed by the double blow of news. Fong Qing suffered a mental breakdown. She would scream hysterically in her hospital room every day, forcing the medical staff to sedate her. Not long after, Yan Yizhi, consumed by grief, had Fong Qing transferred to a psychiatric hospital with the support of friends, subjected to numerous intensive treatments and with her mental state fluctuating wildly. Fong Qing could not accept her reality. One night, she jumped from the hospital rooftop. The next time I heard about them was when the lawyer forwarded me the information regarding Yan Yizhi's estate distribution. Ms. Fong's mother couldn't accept her daughter's death and blamed Mr. Yan for everything, the lawyer in front of me said, adjusting his glasses as he carefully laid out the facts. She took a knife to Mr. Yan's company, and an unfortunate incident occurred. One of the wounds was too severe. Sadly, Mr. Yan passed away before the ambulance could arrive. All the documents above were notarized by Mr. Yan 6 months ago. All assets under his name are to be inherited by you and Ms. Yan Rui. I remained silent for a long moment, then pushed the documents back across the table. Please donate this portion, all of it. My daughter and I no longer need anything connected to him.